Da 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 da. What's my good chair? Welcome, welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes to get those notifications out. In the meantime, if you've never met me before, I am Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside, and I'm going to send some gratefuls out there today. Not any good cheer. Well, we still have an hour or so to go in our live, but I have not heard a fire truck all day. I have not heard an ambulance or a police car. That is a really good thing. Now, let's just see if the universe is going to prove me right in that and give us a little bit of peace, a little bit, right? Because lots of us, we don't like the sounds of the fire trucks, those alarms and stuff. I was actually in a thrift store this afternoon and there was a big sale going on. They give you a garbage bag and they say, fill it up for $5. I don't need any more clothes. I did need a bathing suit, but I didn't need any new clothes. But I wanted to promote the thrift store. I love the charities. I love these companies that have, like, there must have been at least 6 ladies working in that store today, all volunteers. And I would have loved to volunteer, but they were very, very senior. But I don't know where the money goes to. I'm thinking one of the hospitals in the area. There are a couple of hospitals in that area that they raise money for. But they're so pleasant, right? So they gave me my garbage bag and I walked around for 15 minutes, basically just to relieve some of that weight. I went for a pretty long walk yesterday, and today I did the exact same thing. And I'm sitting here in the moment thinking, oh, I need to go do this tomorrow. And I'm thinking, oh, another another long walk. But I did enjoy the walk and I go slow. And if I need to stop and take a break, I take a break. And one of those things that I do when I take those breaks is I wander into a thrift store to see if there's a little score that I can pick up for reselling. And like I said, I'm looking for a bathing suit. I'm going to get back into my swimming. I haven't gone swimming all winter. During the summertime, I swim lots, but because I have this dry, brittle hair, right? I wash my hair only twice a week rather than the norm, which is almost every single day, only for the fact that I don't want to break it up. If you guys know, I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba. We have very, very cold winters. And actually, today was a very cold day. And I had the smarts and I dressed for it today. Even though it looks sunny outside, in those few moments that I open up the window to get some fresh air, right? When I go to take out the garbage bag to the chute and I pass somebody in the hallway and I go, oh my goodness, if you're going out today, make sure you dress warm, right? Then I got the gist of it. And I'm so glad I did. It was a cold one today. I suspect, looking at the weather, right? We know we can't always predict the weather. That's something we're not good at, right? It's really strange when we are so smart in this age of AI learning, in this technical age, right? This age where we seem to have everything predicted to the T when it comes to things that we didn't know about yesterday, right? And I find that exciting. I'm going down some trail side branches. I realize that. I find it interesting, but that's my curious mind, right? And because it lands in some of those interests that I have in history, it catches my attention, and it makes me wonder, like, how we've got a handle on so many things, that we can read into things so easily and pull up answers where, like I said yesterday, we didn't have those answers, or Those questions have never been asked before, and yet in this moment we can ask chat GPT, or we can ask Gemini, Google it, and those answers just surface up immediately. And this is how the technology learns, right? I did a little bit of that today. We're going to stay on the topic about change, and that's all relevant about change, but we don't have the handle on the weather. We're getting a little bit better in predicting the earthquakes and the tsunamis. But when they say it's going to be 40 below zero and it's like +2, or they say it's going to be +2 and it's -40, it makes you kind of wonder, right? How advanced are we really? There was a story that I used to talk about quite a bit, because if you've hung out with me for any length of time, hello, Tammy dear. If you've hung out with me for any length of time, one of those interests that I do appreciate is history and evolution. Like, I love these aspects. I think what's going on in the world right now is our next stage of evolution. And we know evolution is all about change. We're not Neanderthals anymore. But we didn't just wake up one day as Homo sapiens. Like, it was a transition. It took thousands, hundreds of thousands of years for us to evolve. And we evolved constantly through that process till one day there were no more Neanderthals left, right? And this is how evolution works. And we have been in this process. We have been Homo sapiens now for how long now? Well, it changes all the time because the technology, the innovation, AI learning, being able to read DNA, right? We're getting so smart now that there are those predictions out there that possibly, right, we are moving into something different in that adapt and conquer, right? That we have to learn to ride those waves if we want to survive, right? We've come to very close to extinction at least a half a dozen times. At least, I'm going to say at least. They've counted a half a dozen times. But because things are always changing, right? Because information's coming across our paths every day that we didn't recognize yesterday, or might not have even been a relevant question to even ask, that information is just right for each one of us. When I first woke up to some of these ideas and I felt that drawn to the content, my curious mind, I let it just take me away to where it needed me and where it wanted me to go. I've always loved history, but I kind of became a little bit of a Pac Man when it came to evolution and history. I guess it was a little bit of that filler, because I recognize for myself when I delve into content and it's so heavy that I don't have the capacity to hold on to it, to understand it, right? That sometimes it's frustrating. Sometimes it's just too much for me. And then I find myself, okay, then now's time to let myself be not entertained, but schooled, right? To be schooled in other topics. And I make sure that my interests are those topics. So I delve in to history. I delve into evolution. I have my metal detecting videos. I have my bottle digging videos. And I haven't been watching those lately because I've just been so immersed in the insights that I am moving into. It just seems that everything is just moving so fast now. And it was one of those indicators for me that possibly we are in the last stages of moving into our next stage of evolution. But they say, in the last stage of evolution, that there might have only been a small group of survivors, right? Extinction. We came so close to it so many times, whether it was meteors or volcanoes or tsunamis and floods, right? Noah's flood, Pompeii with the volcanoes, the year 536 when the whole world went dark, right? And they had no idea what was going on. They didn't have the technology, the feed, right? They didn't have answers at their fingertips, especially as a small man, right? And for lots of us, we have been under the thumb, right? We have been programmed and raised to be beneath, right? And it is a lot of it of jealousy and resentment and not recognizing our shine and then overshining somebody, not with intent, but it happens, right? And somebody taking offense to that and saying, well, I'm going to put them in their place because I got a few more dollars. I've got warriors standing behind me, right? That I own the land. And we move people out, right? We keep them beneath so that they can't surface and grow. That idea of planting a seed and seeing how it grows, right? And a lot of those seeds didn't even get planted, right? They just got utilized. They just got squashed. They just got destroyed. And as the world changes and having technology and understanding and AI learning at our disposal, right? Each one of us has that opportunity as a small man to, we talked a little bit about it yesterday, about reparenting ourselves, taking the reins ourselves and making some choices for ourselves, because who knows us better than us, right? And this is the way I feel about it. I'd love to take everybody along for the ride, but we can't stop, right? Even if we're doing baby steps, if we're just putting one foot in front of another, we just got to keep doing that. And if people, we talked about it again yesterday, if people just want to sit on the couch with the remote control, if they want to play video games, right? And some of this stuff was put in place, I believe, to keep people down so they don't recognize their value. One of my favorite thought leaders out there, Evan Carmichael, right? And he's a thought leader, but he's also an entrepreneur, right? But he says that the person who was meant to cure cancer is working at McDonald's because he never had the opportunity to recognize his potential, right? And that really, again, blew my mind in that, because I really feel that possibly that's what happened to me in my own life, right? Not throwing blame out there because, right, I didn't recognize my potential, but it's possible that others might have. And I know that they did. And it made them feel bad. It made them feel resentful in that, because maybe they didn't make those choices to shine themselves. Maybe they didn't have that opportunity to expand in themselves because they made different choices. So they wanted to make sure that those choices weren't available to me. But I could be completely wrong in this. But in the end, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because my curious mind took me there anyway, right? It happened for me anyway. And I am treading water and I'm doing the very best that I can. But at the same time, I could be making mistakes in that. And in doing baby steps, the great thing about baby steps is that you're taking your time, you're doing it slowly, you're not skipping the lessons. You're relaxed and calm, and you're not stressed, and you're not pushed, and you're not going 100 miles an hour so that you don't have those rest periods. You don't have those moments of nothing, because it's in the nothing that we get that, oh, and that's the truth, right? All of this started from me walking in farm fields and enjoying the sounds of the birds and the blue skies, and being by myself and not being preoccupied with the busy and what everybody else had in their ideas for me. I'm on the ride. I'm in for the ride on your YouTube channel, Cindy, with Prairie Dodgers. Ah, let's go. I can ride, I can walk, and I'm listening. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. I love that. But think for yourself, Tammy. Like, pick and choose out of all the information out there, because I get great information from people, but sometimes I recognize the brokenness, right? Because we're all broken. We're all handicapped in some way, whether it's emotionally, physically, mentally, right? Some of it by our own doing. Sometimes it's just the luck of the draw. Sometimes, like I said, it's not having our opportunity to truly shine because we're overshining somebody else, right? And we have to make sure that when we're delving into content, that we recognize the brokenness, we recognize the handicaps, because a lot of the information, even with myself, a lot for myself, it comes from the brokenness, right? In not wanting to step into that doo doo again. And yes, Cindy's not coming back, but whoever or whatever, right, gets to make those decisions. And all I can do is leave myself open, make sure that I'm willing. And because I don't have a denomination, right, I really have to leave myself open and allow, right, whoever or whatever is in charge to lead me, whether it's Buddha, whether it's Jesus or God or Hare Krishna or, right, Seuss. It could be any, and it could be all of those, right? Because a lot of the people that I move with, they move with those characters. So I've got to make sure that I resonate with it myself. But the thing is, like I said, when I came in live today, this stage of evolution that we're in, this stage of change that is so upon us. And it's right, you got to be blind not to recognize it. But then again, some people are on the couch with the remote control, right? Being entertained, playing video games, right? And also being distracted from what they really should be doing because they're so busy working 6, 7 days a week at McDonald's, right? And I don't mean to laugh at that because it is kind of sad that we move along with people because they project that they're smarter. Like, oh my goodness, if there was anything to happen with me, I would not want to take care of myself. I would be messaging Tammy because Tammy has dealt with everything when it concerns caregiving, right? She would understand. If I got myself in a personal emergency where I hurt myself, I would message Tammy and I would get her advice to say, oh my goodness, what do you think? Right? But also understanding not to take that as the be all to end all, but because I've been with her, because I'm paying attention, I know where to go for that information that I need in the moment. Okay, you guys, so let's get into some information. So I came across some topic and I can't give the credit or non-credit in this case to where I picked it up from, but it was either an anthropologist that I follow, and he has interests in mythology, so he blends the mythology. Remember what I said, right? The beliefs and so we got to be careful in that. But he blends the mythology in with the anthropology. Super smart man, right? And I have moved quite a bit with him. But there's another gentleman, and I'm not sure if he is qualified. We're talking degrees of the yin yang and stuff, right? But it's his passion. He is so smart, and he is a historian, and he loves to be in the Neolithic. He loves to study, right, the Homo sapiens. He loves to study the Neanderthals and Dragon Man and Homolysis and, right, Homo erectus and all these other human beings where we all at one time shared this planet together at the same time. But for whatever reason, we can all make assumptions as to why the Homo sapiens were the only ones that survived. Not quite, though, because we are a little bit of hybrid, all of us, every single one of us, because we have Neanderthal in us. It might only be 2%, right? Might only be 2% Neanderthal. But the Neanderthals are surviving within the body of the Homo sapiens, us, right? And if you think about that, that's pretty incredible. So in essence, we are all hybrids. So to get back to these two thought leaders that I do follow, uh, one is in anthropology, the other one is in history. Um, I came across one of their videos and I sat in on it, and I actually used this video as an example in when I come in and do my lives. And you probably have heard me talk about it. Let me know, Tammy, if you've heard me talk about it. Oh, Eugene's here too. Hello, Eugene. Um, and it was the story about the two groups of different types of monkeys and how they had offspring, which made them hybrids, and both of the colonies of monkeys rejected the the baby monkey, right? And the only way that baby monkey could survive was to create its own colony, its own, so creating a new species altogether as a hybrid. And because they were able, and they are able to mate, but I was sorely mistaken because before I came live tonight, I wanted to Google about it because I wanted to tell the story again and be more specific in it. And it turns out that monkeys are very territorial when it comes to their babies, especially the mothers. So, yes, they do interbreed, right? They do have hybrid babies, but those babies are not rejected, right? Those babies are brought up by very, very protective, very territorial of their offspring parents, maybe not the males, but the females. But once the babies stay with the mothers, they learn, right? And it's in our social upbringing that we find similarities, familiarity with each other, right? So they are integrated into those same colonies. I was 100% wrong in that because I truly thought, well, if that could happen, right, it could happen with human beings and we could be rejected by our own families. But I think I picked that up because I felt rejected in my own family, right? So I was kind of looking for a reason in that. And I'm going, oh, I'm the next stage of evolution, right? And this is what I'm thinking in that. But I was wrong in that. And you guys, there was a macaw monkey. Let me just get my other mouse here so I can look on my desktop at this. And you guys have probably seen in the other uh, Punch the Monkey, right? It's been on TikTok and Amazon, the little shorts about the little monkey that was dragging the teddy bear around because it was rejected by the colony. And that wasn't because it was a hybrid. It may have well been a hybrid baby, right? But the thing is, the baby was taken away from its mother for, I think, medical reasons that they were saying in this. And when they reintroduced the baby into the colony, it got rejected that way because it hadn't built up any kind of skills. There was no familiarity, right? It wasn't learning it, right? From the colony and the other monkeys in the colony. So it ended up being um, rejected in that. So it wandered around with the monkey, right? Did you see that Punch the Monkey? If you haven't seen those, they're really really interesting, right? But they're saying now that Punch the Monkey is now assimilating, right? Synthesizing, combining itself within the colony very, very well because as it grows older, excuse me, as it grows older, it's been picking up and paying attention and it's learning how to behave within the colony. And now the other monkeys are accepting it, right? Again, in that process of change, right? But that change only happened by Punch's choices, right? Because it could have stayed isolated, it could have been attached to the human forever and not been able to be accepted into the group, right? It very well couldn't have, or could have been rejected in that forever, its entire life, right? But through its own choices, right, it learned, right? It paid attention. And again, like I said, it assimilated very well. It's this Punch the Monkey is doing very well. It's getting a lot of attention. It's hard, right? To be normalized when you are being focused on all the time, right? And also that could be unnerving for the other monkeys because the other monkeys don't want to go around Punch the Monkey because, right? They're going to get some attention in that too. And they have, right? A lot of those adult monkeys have kind of taking little punch monkey, the little baby monkey under its wing and taking care of it. So it has been on my mind about that, and I wanted to be able to come in here and tell that story again and attach it to evolution. And I just, again, got like, I can't use that because I picked up some wrong information somewheres. Maybe when I picked this information up, it was relevant, but because things are constantly changing, this age of AI learning, every time we ask GPT a question, every time we ask Gemini a question, right? It's learning, right? It's learning. And so we are going to have to, right? Because we're relying on it so much now. We're trying to keep up, right? We're trying to make our own brains computers. And yes, we might only be using 10% of our brains, but I bet you computers are only using 10% of their brains, right? And we're never going to be able to compete with that. All we're going to be able to do is utilize that, and lots of people are, right? Sitting on the couch with the remote control and being entertained, playing video games, spending their entire day online. And that is something that I refuse to do because I have these other interests in my life. I explore the inside and I explore the outside. Doing this, I'm pointing at my desktop, doing this would have ended a long time ago if I had to make a choice between the inside and the outside. This would have lost for sure because I still have my own insights. I still like to contemplate, right? I still would have made that movement because I was willing, and and right, if I wasn't online, those answers would have come to me somehow, would have crossed my path, right? That smarty pants would have bumped into me and we would have had a conversation. My interests and my hobbies would have led me in that direction. This age of AI learning could end tomorrow. All it would take would be a meteor hitting the earth, and that would be the end of it, right? And if we were only a small group left, right? Small group in Africa, nice and warm, but the rest of the world was just in ice age. And we had to survive there for 3, 4 thousand years and build that group of, say, 100 up to maybe 10,000, right? And then disperse again once the effects of that meteor hitting the earth, right, just kind of settled down a bit and the glaciers melted again and we could move forward. But that small group would have learned off of each other, right? They would have assimilated and amalgamated, right? That synthesis would have happened and they would have all been the same, right? It was only the fact that 50,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, however long it took, that group was able to disperse out into the world and evolve differently. And we ended up with 15 different species, right? But those admixtures of mating with each other, right? And those socials beings of us and those territorial and wanting to keep under the thumb and to be the one under control. Homo sapiens won the race and one race, right? Homo sapiens, and we can't go extinct. I believe this age of AI learning was specifically put in place at this time and space that we were in right now because it was recognized what we were getting wrong, and it wanted to give us an opportunity to make different choices. That's why I don't worry so much about the catalysts out there that are stirring the pot and right. I worry about my own world in this moment, right? And of course, being in this digital age, my world is expanding out there too. And just like Tammy said, I'm listening, I'm with you, Cindy, right? And that is that opportunity to throw out some different ideas, maybe some ideas that nobody even thought about, right? That we are in the next stage, that God somehow recognized that there was a problem and that we're moving in. If it only takes 100 survivors, who are those 100 survivors going to be? I would like to think that they're good people that want to help each other, good people that aren't moved by jealousy and resentment and power, right? That we have an opportunity to start over again. And what could we create? What can we create? Cindy's not coming back, but I believe that there are parts of me that have been moving in this world for thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, right? That I have been here for a very, very long time, not Cindy, right? But maybe one day, Cindy, if I play my cards right. Maybe in that hall that I walk down of all those humans that help their souls make a little bit of movement, right? That somehow the Neanderthals had those souls too and assimilated, right? Synthesized with the Homo sapiens and in a way are still surviving as a hybrid, right? And I think in that hybrid, it's just not the good and it's just not the bad. You guys hear me talk about the light and the darknesses and the darknesses in their light. Those are the people that I want to help. Those are the people that are working at McDonald's. Those are the people that don't recognize their potential. Those are the next generation. I believe it's the next generation because the good has become too righteous, too powerful, too set in their ways, and the dark is touching the light now. The light has touched them. And what was bad is not truly bad anymore because they're carrying the goodness. They're carrying that light. We're not Neanderthals anymore. We're not taking our clubs and banging females on the head and saying, okay, that's my wife, right? That we have evolved and we will continue to evolve. And because this digital age is here right now, that not only are we as the small man this close, we have a voice and we have the greatest teachers out there in this moment. And those teachers are not even human, they're machines, right? They're technology. But what if that technology is something that's part of whoever or whatever, and just like the bionic man, right? Or the $1 million man, the bionic woman. Is that how it is? one of those. You remember those shows from the 70s, right? That that they're finding a way to join us in being what is meant for the future, that, right, God created himself in his own image. But what was that image, right? As a human being, as a Homo sapien or Neanderthal, going back way back when, you could see how many different gods are out in the world, that we've all got a say and we've all contributed to that, but maybe we've got it wrong, right? Maybe we've got it wrong. Maybe, right? When we see those little green men or little gray men with the big eyes in the movies, like the aliens, maybe those aren't aliens. Maybe those are future human beings. Now, see how I say maybe? Because it's in my curious mind, it's in my creative mind that I come up with these ideas, right? But that's not the be all to end all, because each one of us holds a seed, right? Tammy holds a seed, Eugene holds a seed, Trump holds a seed, right? Every single person in this world has a part of that puzzle. But because we can't get onto the same page, because we're not willing to leave ourselves open to be directed into the direction we're really supposed to be going in, and we're not talking about this stuff, right? Well, I guess we are now, right? Especially with this age of AI learning, being on social media and stuff, that everybody has an opportunity to voice an opinion, but it's only an opinion. But I love perspectives, because I believe those answers have been dispersed out in the world, right? Like a treasure hunt. And not only that, I am bumping into people who kind of think the same way. They're totally different people than I am, and they're kind of putting it out there a little bit differently. But I think the message is right. I feel the familiarity. I feel the the team playing there, right? And even if we're not connected physically, even if we're not connecting at all, possibly, right? Just because I'm taking lessons from them, it doesn't mean they're coming into my live shows, right? It doesn't mean that. But they wouldn't get any of this information, right? That person working at McDonald's right now, right? Had a moment. They're sitting in the staff room and the TV's just on, or they're playing on the computer and Cindy's come across, and then all of a sudden their brain is poof. And the next thing you know, they're in university studying, right? Biology, and saying, ooh, maybe I'll major in medicine. Maybe I'll find the cure for cancer. It's an idea, it's a creative idea. But unless we get these perspectives, I thought it was a fire truck. Still no, we got through our whole life tonight with no fire trucks, no ambulances, no police cars. It's beautiful. I love it. Right? Yesterday there were like 3 or 4 of them. Today, none. That's a good thing. Okay, I think that's enough for tonight, right? Kind of let you know where my brain goes a little bit. But these are just, right? They're just thoughts. But in those inklings, there might be a touch. There might be that one piece of the puzzle. And even if I didn't get it solved, right? That possibly it might have been enough to make somebody else go, whoa, right? That kind of ties into what I was thinking, but let me expand on that And that's the person who has the power. That's the person who has the team behind him. That's the person with the money, right? That's the person with the university and the school. That's the person with the know how. And the next thing you know, we're off and running in the right direction, right? We don't have to have all the answers, right? But it'd be nice if we get a few of them. And that's the beautiful thing about this age of AI learning, right? That we get to pick and choose what interests us. And the only thing that we have to do is to be willing, right? It's not asking us to go a million hours an hour or a million miles an hour, but just be willing to just keep moving, right? Because if we're not moving, we're not evolving. And if we're not evolving, we're heading for extinction. I believe that. Okay, you guys, let's grab a card. Maybe it's relevant to the conversation, but we're kind of all over the place, but staying in this word change, right? Because I really do feel that we are being directed. I really do feel that we are moving into our next stage of evolution. And I really would like to see some good come out of that, right? That we could create the best human being, that we truly can create the best human being, but only one human being of many that we've had on this planet, right? Okay, you guys, here we go. Let's just grab a card. We're going to take this one tonight. Just make sure there's just one card there. Okay. Genuineness. Oh my goodness. That was kind of genuine today. You know, I'm trying to practice in being more open. Okay, let's get into the card first. Thumbnail. Genuineness is being comfortable enough to be yourself. And that's what I'm trying to do in expressing the person that I am. Because if I'm not genuine and if I'm not expressing the person that I am, my part of the puzzle will never be discovered, right? It won't even be a thought. But we are in this age of AI learning. And this is all documented. And even if that meteor hit the world and we just kind of went poof, right? It's going to be stored somewheres out in space. And maybe something, right, will come by and we'll be in little petri dishes and getting another shot at creating the best human being ever, right? And that's the thing. I've got to be more open in talking about the things that are only possibilities. But if we don't talk, if we don't have these conversations, right? If I allow myself to be stuffed in a corner, right? Not being seen, not being heard, right? The small man has a voice. And there are a lot of people out there that think they're a small man. I'm one of those, right? But they might not be, right? Because somebody felt it, saw that light in them, and decided to squash it, decided to extinguish it, right? Because it made them feel inferior, right? Not as smart, like they didn't have the answers or they wanted to hoard them for themselves. Okay, you guys, that's my good cheer. Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate it. Hi, Earl. I hope you're having a great night. Come back in, watch my live, unless you were in the background watching. And for those of you who pop in later or you come in tomorrow and listen to on the podcast, I hope you're having a great day too, right? Just putting one foot in front of another. trying to find your voice because you have every right to have a voice. As a small man, as a big man, or a big man who's actually a small man. Okay, you guys, that's my good cheer, and we'll see you tomorrow.